Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to TRTM for today's coverage of a special one-off round here on HCCL as you join us for the first time in the first ever instance of the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup. As always, I'm Regan Clark. You join us here, as the name would imply, at the Grand Prix circuit Silverstone, the birthplace of the Formula 1 regulations, and founded in 1948, 18 turns and 3.6 miles of FIA Grade 1, and was also a venue in the former Ginetta GT Super Cup, which we find our current premise today then. A single make championship and one round only, a special event comprised solely of the 2011 Ginetta G55. We're on board at the moment with Tyler Croft, one of currently 19 drivers on this field, in the midst of 15 minutes of free practice. Taking a quick look into the session regulations here for the Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. We have 15 minutes of free practice, 15 minutes of qualifying, and 60 minutes of racing with a single mandatory pit stop for both fuel and tyres. So a very unique premise to kick things off, and taking a look through the history of both the track and the car, starting things off with Silverstone, of course, founded in 1948 on the premise of the former RAF Silverstone Air Force Base for the Royal Air Force, and that was made for the training and housing of pilots of the Vickers Wellington medium attack bomber during the Second World War. When it was disbanded in the end of hostilities in Europe in 1945, it was abandoned, left to become farmland to the neighbouring village of Silverstone. It became the part of a local growing tradition known as the Mutton Grand Prix around 1947, before the Royal Automotive Club would take the lease of the land in 1948. By 1949, we saw the introduction of the skeleton structure that formed the basis of the Silverstone circuit we know and love, and by 1950, it was the birthplace of the first ever Grand Prix race under Formula 1 regulations, the 1950 British Grand Prix, which was won by Giuseppe Farina, driving for Alfa Romeo. It's been history ever since then for Grand Prix racing, with Silverstone in the modern day hosting Grand Prix racing on 2 and 4 wheels with both MotoGP and Formula 1. In its time with Formula 1, it also clashed heads with Brands Hatch and Aintree's control of the British Grand Prix, with Aintree withdrawing in 1968 and Brands Hatch in 1986. It also briefly went up against Donington Park in a bidding war in the trailing end of the 2000s before the financial crisis to become the future home of the British Grand Prix. As history would have it, Silverstone would win. In terms of other races, the British GT Championship and British Touring Car Championship come to this circuit every single year, with British GT seeing its largest event of the year, the Silverstone 500, play out on the full Grand Prix circuit. British Touring Cars only races on the national circuit, of which we find ourselves currently just outside of, on what is now the international side of the track. The national circuit paddock is where we'll be starting from over the course of the upcoming 60 minutes of racing to follow in this special one-off round. In recent years, also saw the return of the European Le Mans Series, with the possibility and rumours swirling of a potential future return back to the World Endurance Championship that left the circuit in 2019. Into the topic of the cars themselves then, as we see currently out on his first flying laps of free practice, though appears to be invalidated now, so we'll go to catch on board with the nearest driver to the line, that being the number 46 as we go to find them here. This is with Ted Herkus. Getting on to the topic of the car itself, the Ginetta G55 was introduced in 2011 as a single-make cup car and designed as the technical upgrade to the now antiquated Ginetta G50, introduced in 2008. By 2014, the G55 would ultimately replace the G50. The G55 itself is currently in the means of replacement after 2022 saw the introduction of the G56. It features a 3.7-litre Ford Cyclone V6 engine in its Cup and GT4 configurations, and with the very unique architecture of the G55 meant that it could compete for both GT3 and GT4, featuring cross-compatibility for a 4.35-litre naturally aspirated V8 engine for its use in GT3. It saw primary use as a single-make cup car in the Ginetta GT Super Cup, of which it served in for over a decade, primarily as the premier category, but also now in more recent years with the introduction of the G56, it has now been downgraded to the secondary ancillary category of that championship. It also served as part of the SRO GT4 lineup, which is the configuration you see on the track today then, featuring the same 3.7-litre V6 engine as the Cup car configuration did back in 2011. It also serves right now here on ACC as one of the longest freestanding designs in circulation, with the G55 still being produced to this day here in 2026. The car, introduced some 15 years ago in 2011, makes it older than other cars still in circulation at this time, like the Lexus RCF, which came about in 2015. Following with Hercus, as we take a look onto the timing charts, we see that season regular for HCCL and two-time HCCL GT4 champion Christian Lebay marks the top of the field ahead of Matthew Copsey and Stephen Sutton. Tom Barlow, who's been a rising star over on a few different championships we've covered here across a myriad of different categories, finds himself currently 4th in this almost deep bronze-clad number 23. I'm getting almost a bit of a Peugeot Onyx vibes there, for those of you who might know the colour scheme of that one-off concept car. Nearest to the line, the 48, the 84, and the 46. We'll go to catch on here at the trailing end of it, Ted Hercus, who we were on with a moment ago. We see across the line goes Kevin Perez to currently 5th place. We'll see where Hercus slots in on this chart, as it appears look to have been invalidated for him. So we'll go and check in now with the number 41, Anthony Valorio, making his way around Luffield. Currently up at some 24 cars in the session so far, and just taking a look there, just under 8 minutes left to go in free practice. So still plenty of times left to roll in. It will be a symphony on 6 cylinders to come up in the qualifying session to follow. 15 minutes for these drivers to play with the G55. A very underrated pick in GT4. Of course, we saw over the longest time here on HCCL across both the Carousel Cup, the Multi-Class Championship, and the GT4 Challenge, all of which we've covered here on TRTM. We saw most prolific use of the G55 was by the number 12 of Tom Wells. Sadly, it appears to be the case that he can't join us for today's race. A pity then, considering this is right up his alley. Nearest to the line, the number 49 on track at the moment. So looking to see if we can try and intercept them. I think we were just a little too late there, as across the line went the 49. As it stands there, that's Matteo Place across the line to 4th place. 1.8 seconds dead there off of Lebay's time at the front of the field. We see tucked in behind him there was not the 97, but is in fact a very close replica for the livery of the 97, and that's for Alexander Hivrich. So we see there cutting across Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Behind him, the 42 of Toby Goodall, currently 10th, yet to have put a time on the charts. It seems to be, for the drivers today, this free practice session serves as sort of the opening time for the drivers to sort of work with the car. This is not a platform a lot of people find themselves using. It is a very polarizing platform in GT4. Of course, with that 3.7 litre naturally aspirated V6, it does pack quite a punch because it's connected to a 6-speed short ratio sequential gearbox. That gives this car considerable shove out of the corners. It makes it one of the fastest accelerating cars in GT4, but it lacks straight line speed. So for the drivers here, they'll be getting up to speed very quickly, but they'll be staying quite significantly under the bar for available top end in GT4. So for a lot of drivers with experience in GT4 racing, such as Lebay, such as Copsey, such as Sutton, these are going to be drivers that are used to other options in GT4 and are going to definitely have a bit of a culture shock coming up against it. Copsey has raced featherweight cars before. We saw in his time in GT4, he did race for the Porsche 718 Cayman. For Lebay, it's a very big culture shock, but for the GT4 talent, he seems to show no real signs of struggle as he makes the fastest time of the session so far, 209.867, 165 thousandths up off of Copsey. Of course, his previous appearance to GT4 in HCCL was driving the 6th generation Chevrolet Camaro. So this is definitely quite a culture shock to him to go from the hefty Camaro to the featherweight Ginetta. Now, in line with the SRO regulations, this car comes up to about 1.1, I think just shy of 1.2 tons in its SRO configuration. But when it retailed in 2011 at a low price of £75,000, which is about 100 to 115,000 in today's money, this car weighed in and around 1,085 kilos. In that range, it was incredibly lightweight, and its cup car configuration was 950 kilos. So this is a remarkably lightweight car. It gives it a real spring in the step through a lot of these corners here at Silverstone, of which served as part of the Ginetta Super Cup calendar for quite some time. We see Julian Aquati to the line to 7th as he crosses the line. 4 minutes left to go in free practice. 15 minutes of qualifying coming up around the corner here for the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. Coming up later on today, for those interested in our broadcast itinerary, we come up to you with the final round of the NLRL Console Endurance Series later on today. That's the 6 hours of Indianapolis coming up at 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Right now, though, we're here for the Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special by HCCL on board with Julian Aquati, now forced down. Not one, but by looks of it, they're 2 positions from the 84 and the 46, respectively. Joop Overbeek, who we last saw on the Carousel Cup, makes 8th fastest. The 46, right behind him there, Ted Herkes, 3rd fastest, now up and ahead of Sutton. Number 616 across the line a moment ago, Andrew Veldkamp of Malwal Racing in 12th place, tucked in behind Goodall, but ahead of Aguirre in the number 8. Up in front there looked like a bit of connection trouble for Luca Tamburini, another season regular here on HCCL. Now, last time we saw him was up in GT3, competing in the Porsche 911 992. So for the Argentine talent, this is going to be a curious one to see how that translates away from rear-engine GT3 to front-engine GT4. As it stands then, Copsey closest to the front lines here. Will Abay still leading that session, and we see Copsey having some struggle down through Brooklands. Sadly, we come into this session with no decipherable qualifying predictions, but it does look pretty likely from the data we have so far to keep a close eye on Labay, Copsey and Herkes. Definitely honourable mentions, though, for Sutton and Valorio. Toby Goodall 6th. You see Matteo Place in 7th. We do see there, just as we cut away from Goodall, was a bit of struggle for the 42. Tom Barlow in 8th. Samuel Bell 9th and Joop Overbeek in 10th. Nearest to the line is the 119, but it appeared invalidated for Labay, so we'll see whether or not there is an improvement to be found over the 209.867 that leads this session, and that there is. 209.442. So now puts him just over half a second up on Copsey. Number 48. Nearest to the lines. We're going to go and catch on board then Kevin Perez. We last saw on TRC in Barcelona earlier on this week. Perez to the line from 17th on the field. Behind him, we see the 616 approaching the line. Andrew Veldkamp from 15th stays 15th. From behind him, there was, I believe, taking a look, was the number 66. That's Michael Berg in 19th place. No times as of yet for Klopsch, Hughes, Claffey, Harker, Tamburini, Latore or Litti to make 26 cars on this field at the moment. But of course, with qualifying just around the corner, there is not much urgency behind these drivers to come back out on track and set times here. We know that qualifying is the main event. A lot of what these drivers are waiting for. Only 15 minutes to play with there, so time is money heading into that quali session. And it's going to be very, very busy on the exit of the pit lane. As we're right now with about 30 seconds left to go in free practice. Nearest to the line, the 49. We see Matteo Place back into the pit. Serves for 7th place at the end of free practice so far. The number 42, Toby Goodall, dives to the pit lane as well here in the national paddock. Nearest to the line then would be the number 69, Julian Aquati, just outside of that top 10 as things stand right now by just under 260 thousandths of a second to Joop Overbeek in the number 84. 119 nearby to him. As it stands then, this will be the last lap times coming in for both Aquati and Labay nearest to the line. So Aquati from 11th across the line he goes and stays 11th for the end of this session. Can there be an extension over a 209.442 for Christian Labay, currently leading free practice as he crosses the line? Not this time around, but he's done more than enough to serve the fastest time of free practice. Now, of course, where it's really going to stick for him is upcoming here into qualifying. Number 48 nearest to the line, so looking to catch back on board with the 48. With Kevin Perez, number 616 behind him, Andrew Veldkamp. So this is 17th and 15th. Looking at potential upgrades by the end of this free practice session. Then from behind him appears to be the number 12. And that'll be Adrian Jimenez. To the line then comes Perez from 17th up to 14th then at the end of this session. Breaks into the top 15. Andrew Veldkamp retires to the pit lane for the end of free practice. We'll see here with Jimenez. Just in front of him there, Michael Berg. So this is 18th and 19th we're talking about. The number 12 and the number 66 at the end of free practice. Then the 21 and the 813 nearby. Across the line then, Berg 19th. Jimenez to the line. Does he go up a position here at the end? No, he stays in 18th place. Number 21 nearby to the line. That brings about the end of free practice. So, 15 minutes of qualifying, and we see already, as predicted, a very busy start there. Ted Herkus looked to have been earliest on the trigger to get out of the pit lane. The number 46, first among the fray here in Silverstone. Right behind him then, Christian Lebay, and also we see Marek Klopsch looking to be third out in the order. Then behind him, Stephen Sutton in the number 7. We see already 5 cars break out from the pit lane. Out through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. So we'll stay on board with whichever car leads the charge down into the opening flying lap to give us our unofficial tour of things here in Silverstone. Of course, a track that requires little introduction. Making our way down towards Stowe Corner with Ted Herkus. One of a handful of cars in Assetto Corsa Competizione to be right-hand drive. One of the other notable examples in recent memory is the Bentley Continental GT3. The 2018 model, which we've seen plenty of in a few different championships, and what we'll see later on today in the final round of the Console Endurance Series, is also a right-hand drive unit. Historically, the reason why a majority of endurance race cars were right-hand drive was because of the orientation of the pit lane at the Circuit de la Sarthe, where most of these cars were developed to race. In the case of the Ginetta G55, it's just because it's British. We see now taking the lead of that opening charge is the 119, Christian Lebay, now out through the loop in towards Aintree. So we'll be staying on board with Lebay's point of view of things for the Tour of Silverstone. With about 13 minutes left in qualifying, we see that the majority of the opening 5 minutes has been burned away just getting the cars onto the track. We do see some trouble yellow flags out during qualifying, and a rare sight for Anthony Velorio, the 41, brought the yellow flags out down the Hamilton straight. So we'll catch on in due course. We see here with Lebay, first among the fray then to start their flying laps. On board then with the Canadian talent out through Copse Corner to kick things off. This will be the turn 1 for our race today here, starting from the National Paddock. Down through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. An area so iconic it's been mirrored in more modern designs in recent years. One notable example being the opening sector at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Played obvious homage to Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Down the hangar straight then. Named in obvious reference to the fact that this is where the hangars at the former RAF Silverstone Air Base would be located. Out through Stowe Corner. And it doesn't appear it on the cameras there, but that is a quite vertical section of the track. There is a dip just after Stowe Corner, so it's easy for the back end to come away in wet conditions. Down through Vale and Club Corner as we make our way onto one of the newest named sections of the track here. This is what used to be the opening straight for the British Grand Prix, and now is called the Hamilton Straight as the opening part of the British Grand Prix, named after Sir Lewis Hamilton, 7-time Formula 1 world champion. Out through Abbey. Through to Village. Through Farm, sorry, I should say, now to Village, as we enter what was one of the newest sections to be introduced for Silverstone, the quote-unquote arena section, as we make our way around the loop in towards Aintree. This was introduced just at the turn of the decade into the 2010s, after the bridge section was disbanded. Making our way down the Wellington Straight, named after the Vickers Wellington, the medium attack bomber that was housed here at RAF Silverstone. Down towards Brooklands. Into Luffield. Heading towards Woodcote Corner, then back onto our opening straight here, the National Pit Straight as it's known. Down to the line then, Lebay to be the benchmark time of qualifying. 209.492. Then the 46 from behind him, Ted Herkus, to the line, 1.430 off the mark. Then the 95 comes to the line, and that's for Marek Klopsch. Behind him, we see Matthew Copsey, then Stephen Sutton. So Sutton fourth, Copsey second. Then coming to the line, the number 84, I believe that was there, but it looked to have been invalidated. Next across the line then went Richard Claffey. We see from behind as well, looked to have been, I believe that was the 616, but it looked invalidated. No, it was the number 8. That was for Aguirre, currently 7th. Number 813 across the line, couldn't set a time in. We see here for the number 30. Taking a look in here, this was Chase B, now 7th in the session. Looks to line up on that 4th row. That's immediately pushed down by Alfie Hughes, now 6th fastest. And we also saw the aforementioned 616. This is actually now the appearance of Andrew Veldkamp, and he was momentarily within the top 10. We see the introduction of Charlie Harker, as well as Julian Aquati, Matteo Place, and by looks of things as well, just having a look around the track, was just coming to the line, the 41, Anthony Valorio and Samuel Bell. We also see there further down the line, Alexander Hivrich, now 13th. The number 48 across the line a moment ago, Kevin Perez in 16th. Tucked right in behind there. We see almost super glued to the car in front. Trying to get a look with who that is. Looks to be the number 1, 2, 3. So that's Alessandro Litti on our way down through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. The number 12 across the line a moment ago, Adrian Jimenez to 19th place. And that concludes that opening flurry of times, some 21 times in all here at Silverstone. Currently 26 cars in the session, leaves 5 out of the mix until their next flying laps are concluded. As it stands though, LeBay fastest by 1.063 seconds over Matthew Copsey, with Ted Herkus in 3rd place, Stephen Sutton 4th, and then we see Marek Klopsch at the back of the top 5. Down to the line comes LeBay. 209.492 to beat. Across the line he goes. Does he find an improvement? Not by the looks of it there. So the number 46 nearest to the line. Herkus up to 2nd place. We'll see what the rebuttal is, as making their way to the line was Klopsch. Now Copsey. Copsey back to 2nd. Klopsch to 4th. Sutton across the line from 5th place. Stays there over the course of that last lap. The number 84 coming to the line. I believe here we see for Yorp Overbeek onto the charts to 12th place from 24th. Number 93 nearest to the line. We saw there what looked to be a significant leap for Richard Claffey, now to 11th ahead of Overbeek. The number 8 across the line a moment ago, and that was Aguirre to 18th place. Number 813, Luca Tamburini across the line just a moment ago, starting a flying lap. The number 30 coming to the line. That was for Chase B, stays 16th over the course of that last lap. Number 33, Alfie Hughes. From 9th, across the line he goes. Does it look to be to an improvement? Not this time around. The number 616 and the number 72 across the line a moment ago for the 72 of Charlie Harker, up to 4th in that last lap, up and ahead of Marek Klopsch. Number 69, number 42, number 23, and number 41 coming in. Number 41, Valorio from 8th, stays there, so it appears, over the course of that last lap. We're on board at the moment with Harker, most recently into that top 5. Number 9 coming to the line. That's Alexander Hivrich from 14th on the field, stays there across the line. Number 123, Alessandro Litti to 20th place across the line. Number 48 coming to the line. So it's a real flurry of cars making their way in. Number 12 nearest, so we'll try to catch on here with Jimenez. Behind him, the number 28. Jimenez momentarily up a position, but as we saw there from the number 28, Tyler Croft to 17th. Number 46 nearby to the line, Ted Herkus from the podium at the moment, still challenging for the front row start. 6.5 minutes left to go then, here in quali. Herkus, as it stands, very close by to his fellow Ginetta on the 2nd row. Charlie Harker only separate by looks of it there, just a little over 0.2 of a second away. Herkus across the line, couldn't find anything in that last lap. We see Sutton coming to the line out of Woodcote. Stephen Sutton up to 4th then, 2 positions up now, puts Charlie Harker to the back of the top 5 and joins Herkus on the 2nd row. Across the line a moment ago then, we saw was the number 84. Then across the line came the number, I believe the number 93. Yes, that was for Richard Claffey, now into the top 10 ahead of Overbeek, but behind Bell. Number 8 across the line a moment ago. Taking a look back in then. To have a look with this one here. Matthias Aguirre in the number 8. Currently 19th on field. Number 616, Andrew Veldkamp, looking to challenge for that position and has it on the end of that last lap. Now up to 19th place. From behind him, the 72 of Charlie Harker. Back onto flying laps. Dangerously close here to Sutton. As it stands, those two separate by about 13 thousandths of a second. Marking one of the closest gaps inside of that top 10. Number 9 across the line a moment ago, and that was for Alexander Hivrich, still in the top 15. Number 123 coming to the line. That'll be Alessandro Litti. Does make a break. They're up towards 22nd in that last lap just gone. The 813 of Tamburini coming to the line. By the looks of it there, Luca Tamburini still without a time set here in Silverstone. Number 28 across the line a moment ago, and we saw for Tyler Croft into the top 10. From behind him, the number 12, that being Adrian Jimenez. As it stands for Jimenez, currently 23rd. Number 66 across the line. So it stood nothing in that last lap. Number 119 across the line. Still the fastest time at 209.492 by Christian Lebay. 468 thousandths away from Copsey in second, with Ted Herkus third, Stephen Sutton fourth, Charlie Harker in fifth. Marek Klops just on the back of that third row. 4 minutes left to go as he's holding short here at Vale and Club corner. Just getting up and around him looked to have been Hivrich. Nearest to the line, the number 84. Catching here with Jorp Overbeek, a driver who has routinely challenged for the top 10. Now makes his way back in from 12th place to 9th. Up 0.02 of a second over Samuel Bell. In 10th place, number 97 across the line a moment ago. And that's Matthew Copsey. Couldn't find anything in that last lap, but he's on to another flyer by the end of this session. Number 8 and number 49 coming in. Number 49, we see here with Matteo Place from 8th place. Couldn't find any ground there over Anthony Valorio in the position in front. The number 33 coming to the line next, and that'll be for Alfie Hughes. Seeing if he can challenge here. Yes, he does. Back into the top 10, now ahead of Overbeek to 9th place. Number 616 coming into the pit lane. By the looks of it, actually, no. It was just a bit of trouble there for Veldkamp. Number 69 nearest, Julian Aquati, rocking a strikingly similar livery to a driver very well known for using the Ginetta, Tom Wells. The same Golf colours. Now, of course, Wells doesn't own the Golf colours, but would say that first comparisons really did draw over to the season regular. Aquati, 15th. Number 123. Nearest to the line, Alessandro Litti. Up in front of him there, we just saw starting another flying lap, the number 95, and Litti up to 21st. The 813, still without a time to his name. We see here for Tamburini, now up to 20th. From behind him there looks to be, trying to get a look at it on our radars here, that looks to be the number 40, I believe, yes, number 40, not 42, yes, it's 48. That is, by the looks of it there, that's Perez. Just up in front of him, 19th place on the field. Bear in mind, we are drawing in now to the final 2 minutes of the session, and still without a improvement over his fastest. Lebay holds on to that 4/10 of a second gap over Copsey, but he knows that it could crack at any point. Number 46 nearest to the line, seeing if we can catch on board with them. By the time they get to the line, I think we just missed out the opportunity, but for the 46 of Herkus, onto his last flying lap. Number 7 from behind him, Stephen Sutton in 4th place. Still trying to break away from Harker and trying to build the gap up towards Herkus to maybe start on the podium for this one-off race. Number 97, nearest to the line, Matthew Copsey, starting his last flying lap out through Woodcote Corner he goes. He's the likeliest to challenge for pole, and we do see him draw the gap ever nearer as now he makes his way halfway through that deficit from 4/10 to 2 as he starts his last flying lap. There could very well be the chance Copsey could challenge for pole. Number 49 across the line a moment ago. We saw there from Matteo Place holds on to a 4th row start. 8th place for the number 49. Nearest is the number 8. Taking a look here. Matthias Aguirre on his way through Luffield in towards Woodcote Corner. Behind him, we see the number 23, the number 42, the number 21, and the number 41. Aguirre to the line from 23rd. Stays there over the course of that last lap. The number 23 across the line a moment ago. Number 41 coming into the line. We see here for Valorio from 7th. Stays there over the course of that last lap. Number 95 across the line. Number 123 following in his midst. The number 95, Marek Klopsch, still on the 3rd row. And as drivers start to peel into the pit lane here, right in the trailing end of qualifying, we see Luca Tamburini up to 17th. The number 48 approaches the line. And as it stood there, Kevin Perez still in the top 20. The 119 is approaching the line here, so I think he might just have enough time for one more flying lap. I'm not 100% sure. As we see out through Woodcut, I think just beaten by the bell. Across the line goes LeBay. 2:08.977, the new fastest time of qualifying. Number 72, by looks of it there, comes into the pits. Number 47 will be nearest to the line. Number 72 ends the session 5th. Number 47 across the line a moment ago. And that was for Gino Latore. Missing out on his chance to put a time on the chart. The number 66 nearest to the line. Looking to catch on with Michael Berg from 25th on the field across the line. Stays 25th. The number 97 coming in hot here. Needs 0.8 of a second. So the bar was raised right in the final stop of qualifying. Across the line goes Copsey and brings it down by half. Had it not been for the improvement by LeBay, that would have been pole position for Matthew Copsey. He'll start in a reluctant P2, but he's got a great chance to challenge here off of the start. Down through to Cop's corner. Still a few more drivers to the line, among them the number 8. So we're going catch on board here with Matthias Aguirre. Behind him, the number 23. By the looks of it there, that's Tom Barlow in 18th place. Then from behind him, the number 95, Marek Klopsch, still gunning for a top 5 start. He's really not too far off the chances of doing so. 59 thousandths off of Harker in 5th place. We see here with Aguirre and Barlow making their way to the line. Barlow peels out to the pit lane, so it's Aguirre to the line from 23rd. Can he make his way up a position? Not this time around. So now we go to catch on board here with Marek Klopsch. He looks to run wide, and it's trouble there right in the trailing end of his qualifying endeavours. His chances of a top 5 sundered in the last stop of quali. That brings about its effective end. The 47 would be nearest to the line, but appears invalid as well. The 48 peels out of quali. So for the 47, it's Gino Latore. We wait to see here Latore to the line, but I believe he crossed the line to start this lap after qualifying had ended, so I'll be very curious to see if that's allowed in. We'll see, though, nonetheless, from the 47 down to the line at the end of qualifying today. Cross the line, then goes Latore. As it stands, he did actually go up a position there to 25th, so he did just make it in time. Remarkable stuff there. Better late than never in the case of Gino Latore. Won't start last in this race, but starting first, Christian LeBay and Matthew Copsey right alongside. We'll get a full look at the grid in a moment's time. At the trailing end of qualifying, we now take a look back onto the session itinerary for today. Coming up, 60 minutes of racing with a single mandatory pit stop for fuel and tyres here at the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. And in recent articles of news, 2 articles to come out of the world of Formula E, with DS Automotive announcing they'll be leaving the grid at the end of this season and looks to be stepping into their place. Then Opel will be joining Formula E on the run into the Gen 4 era next year. Exciting stuff indeed. There's also been the news out of Formula 1, Adrian Newey stepping down from his team principal position at Aston Martin. We also know that Jonathan Wheatley has left as the team principal for Audi, with Mattia Binotto, former TP for Ferrari, moving into his place now at the former Sauber team. Let's get a look into the grid, though, in just a moment's time when it forms up here for 60 minutes of racing here in Silverstone. It's a unique situation because this is the second time ever in TRTN's history that we've covered a single make Cup car race. We last covered Cup car racing in the very bizarre Season 9 Porsche Cup era of VSR Phoenix. And that was unique to study in its own respect, because those cars were still considerably powerful, but traded off maneuverability for raw engine power. This is quite the opposite here. The Ginetta G55 GT4 has less power than its Super Cup alternative, as it's restricted for SRO regulations, but still has all of the maneuverability and still featherweight figures. So it's going to make for a very interesting study here of these cars. Taking a look at the grid, though, with just about a minute left to go before we get on to the formation lap. Taking a look in then, Lebay on pole position with Matthew Copsey in second, Ted Herkus in third place with Stephen Sutton in fourth. Charlie Harker rounds out the top five, and rounding out the third row, Marek Klopsch in the number 95. Anthony Valorio in seventh place with looking here, Matteo Place in 8th, Alfie Hughes 9th, and Jorp Overbeek rounds out the top 10. Samuel Bell in 11th, with Tyler Croft in 12th, Richard Claffey in 13th, and Toby Goodall in 14th. Julian Aquati in 15th place ahead of Alexander Hivrich in 16th. Luca Tamburini 17th, Tom Barlow 18th, Chase B in 19th, and Kevin Perez rounds out the top 20. Alessandro Litti in 21st, Andrew Velkamp 22nd, and we see Matthias Aguirre in 23rd ahead of Adrian Jimenez in 24th, Gino Latore in 25th, and Michael Berg in 26th. As it stands then, 13 rows of competition here in Silverstone, 26 cars, 13 either side of it on the run down towards turn 1 at Copse Corner, starting out of the national paddock today. Getting a look on board then with the leading car, it's the 119 of Christian Lebay. He's more than familiar with leading a pack of GT4s down through to turn 1 on a routine basis across both HCCL and Competizione Performance League's endeavours in GT4. However, I'm pretty sure this may be the most bizarre grid he's ever lined up in the front of. Full 26 car grid of Ginetta G55's 3.7 litre V6 engine thunder to rattle the ground here at Silverstone down through to turn 1. A tremendous noise from these cars just as they pull away. You can hear the lights, well, if you can barely hear it over the engine, you can hear the squeal of the brakes as he's holding both pedals in to start generating heat. Holding the brakes down so he can put some heat into the core of those tires. He needs as much front grip as he can possibly get for the run down through to turn 1. Now, major attacking spots is often hard to decide in GT4 racing due to its great variety. Now, this is going to be even harder because the Ginettas are some of the smallest cars in circulation for GT4. So where most gaps would have previously seemed impossible for GT3 or even for GT4 or even GT2 racing by that metric, it is very much so a possibility for the incredibly small and lightweight Ginettas. So really, it's any man's game here. Anywhere that you would previously expect to see a car go side by side, in theory, is one we could absolutely see in execution here with the lightweight Ginettas. Down through to Stowe. In terms of major attacking spots, I would set your sights down at Vale and Club Corner, as well as down at Village and the Loop, as well as on the run down through to Brooklands. We see here coming up on the first of our major attacking spot. Vale and Club Corner. Now, this is already quite a dangerous spot through most walks of racing, but again, bringing back in that concept of size. We are working with cars with about upwards of 380 brake horsepower here, so still punching out decent figures for GT4 at a significant portion down of the overall size. Think of this then as almost a British Miata Cup on steroids is the real factor that decides the Ginetta Super Cup, or the G55 GT4, of which has been part of the Ginetta Super Cup for the last couple of years. Heading in towards the run out of Farm into Village and Loop. So this is another overtaking spot coming up here. Plenty of drivers will be getting ambitious onto the brakes on the run down into this section. Now, we've seen GT3 racing to spill over at points at this area of the track before. Of course, we know back in Season 3 of the NLRL Sunday League, it was down here at Village and the Loop that decided the championship in post-race investigation following an incident between Tyler Vermack and that of Melvin Milliston. Here in the Ginettas, though, they've got far more space to work with. They're not as wide as their GT3 counterparts. Much more compact. Making our way down the Wellington straight towards Brooklands and Luffield. Now, it's going to be a slipstream game here, as with any story of Cup car racing, so do expect to see very long trains of cars making their way down the straights here, both Hackney and Wellington. No one driver here holds engine advantage. It's one of the purest forms of racing then, the Cup car system. Making our way through Brooklands into Luffield. So then, 60 minutes of racing to follow. One mandatory pit stop. 26 cars rolling down out through Brooklands and Luffield towards Woodcote Corner on the National Pit Straight. Here at the home of British motor racing then, the Grand Prix Circuit Silverstone is about to give rise to this special one-off event. Here for the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special, 13 cars either side of it, 26 in all, 60 minutes of racing to follow here in Silverstone. Without further ado, we are green and racing here in Silverstone after a bit of a pause and a great start nonetheless. Down towards Copse Corner, we see already great start by LeBay, and already it's contact between himself and Copsey. It's disaster at Copse Corner. Already the leading pair spill over at turn one. It gives rise to Ted Herkus in the lead. Get a look at this on the instant replays. It ended as quickly as it started. My words, how on earth does a race end that quickly for these two drivers? We see it only gets worse, catching on board with Tom Barlow in the live footage there. Looks like trouble alongside Kevin Perez down through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. We see out back of the field as well. Looks to be more trouble involving, by looks of it there, Copsey towards the back of the field. Looking up front though, it's Herkus away from Harker and Sutton on a run round through Stowe Corner. Looks like Sutton's got the inside line over Charlie Harker. That's going to be to the outside on the run in towards Vale and Club, but he's gone later onto the break. So by looks of it here for Sutton, up to second. A very, very flagrant start to this race. We see even more trouble here down through Vale and Club Corner as the yellow flags fly. But Tom Barlow, he's up to 12th place. Looking in and around the field in front, we see here for Marek Klopsch eyeing up Anthony Valorio for 4th place up in front of him. Looks to be the case where Harker and Sutton are still duking things out for 2nd place. Klopsch looking up the inside then on Valorio for 4th place up through Village. Now into the loop, holds onto that position. Alfie Hughes tries his luck here on the 41. And it could be 2 positions for the price of 1 here. As up through Aintree, holding his line, then Alfie Hughes up to 5th. Marek Klotz up to 4th place. Anthony Valorio sizing his chances to return to the fight. We see here with Christian LeBay caught in a whole wad of traffic. It's more contact between himself and Copsey, this time in the exit of Aintree. Now caught up in the fray with several drivers tucked in around, and we see up in front of them there is Jimenez. And by looks of it there, Perez as well, going very wide. Looks to be Gino Latore, and the number 47 drops down through the order, down at Brooklands. A very, very wild start for the Ginettas here in Silverstone. We see in the background Latore still with further issues on the exit of Brooklands. Getting a look in then, up in the fight for 2nd. Charlie Harker versus Stephen Sutton, but it's Ted Herkus who leads after a very controversial start. The leading row then of Copsey and LeBay make contact down at Copse Corner. That gives rise for the 46 to lead in Silverstone. Sutton and Harker on his tail. Klopsch not too far behind. We see there Alfie Hughes forced to cut over through Chapel to stay ahead of Valorio. Taking a look here, this is with Alfie Hughes. Jupp Overbeek is up quite a few positions there to 7th place to challenge a possible 6th off of Valorio. We see here for Hughes, currently in that top 5. That top 4, by the looks of it, they're separate pretty close to one another, about a 2nd either side of it. Looking in for the 93, we see Richard Claffey in the top 10. So a very, very wild start to things here in Silverstone. Not one that I'm sure we were expecting so early on. With an incident starting off down at turn 1, then resulting on the run in towards Vale and Club was even more trouble. We see here for Harker, currently 3rd place. Behind him is Klopsch, up ahead of him Sutton. After that wider run of things out through Farm into Village and the Loop, he is losing a lot of steam here away from Sutton. And we see that Klopsch has got a great chance to challenge. Trying to get a look on board then with that of Marek Klopsch. We do see here Chase B and Alexander Hivrich side by side through Aintree. Behind them there, Tom Barlow struggling now as he drops to 14th place. We see behind them is Veldkamp and Lebay going way out wide. I believe there that was Matthias Aguirre. A side by side, Hivrich and B right behind them. Barlow. B runs out wide. Barlow could have a chance around the outside here. The number 30 is running slow as the number 9 tries to hold ground from around the outside. It could very well be the case here that Chase B has the move up over Hivrich, and by looks of it, that does appear to be the case. Looking here behind the number 30 of Chase B, currently now in 12th place. Alexander Hivrich and Tom Barlow could be getting into arms here over a fight of 13th place. Looking up through the order, we see here with Anthony Valorio, he's got clear line of sight over both Alfie Hughes, Marek Klopsch and Charlie Harker at the back of the podium. Meanwhile, the number 46 and the number 7, so Stephen Sutton and Ted Herkis are both leading by quite some distance now. They're forming a considerable gap away from the rest of the field as we see things get closer and closer for the opportunity for a three-way split of 3rd place. You see here, catching on with Copsey. It looked to have been a hopeful start, but one that fell apart at the seams down through turn 1 as he now drops to 20th place, trying to fight back over here. That of the number 8, Matthias Aguirre, in the number 8 car, down through to Vale and Club Corner. The number 97 up the inside, holds his ground, could be susceptible to a switchback here, cuts the number 8 off from going the long way around at Club Corner onto the Hamilton straight. Looking quickly in here, Ted Herkis in the lead of this race, number 46 up and ahead of Stephen Sutton, but it is worth pointing out that that gap is starting to wane very, very quickly. 0.7 of a second and closing between the 7 and the 46. Looking here with Tom Barlow, Christian Lebay now joins the mix here for the fight of 12th place. Chase B just up in front there in that turquoise number 30. Meanwhile, Alexander Hivrich drops to 14th as Lebay moves to 13th. Speaking of, here is Christian Lebay making his way down the Wellington Straight, hunting down Chase B, but he's got Alexander Hivrich parked on his rear bumper. Down through the Woodcote corner we go. There was the suggestion of that move up the inside for Hivrich for but a moment, but he backs out of it. So after nearly 10 minutes of racing, we do find ourselves in the midst of quite a lot of action, with this currently on screen at the moment being the fight for 12th place. Chase B versus Christian Lebay on the exit of Woodcote corner after a very controversial start to racing here in Silverstone. He could very well find his way to the inside here. He's going to go late onto the brakes, holding that inside line away from the number 30. Runs wide over the rumble curbs, and that slows him down just enough to possibly invite in, by the looks of it there, Alexander Hivrich, who rubs doors. And we see off in the background, by looks of things there, Tom Barlow in the wall with Andrew Veldkamp. So I think I can piece together what's happened here at Copse Corner. I think we've just had a 2021 incident all over again, this time pertaining to 2 cars instead of just the 1. Meanwhile, Chase B now drops in behind Hivrich and Lebay down through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Looking up in front, we see Overbeek versus Place. This is for 7th. Place looking up the inside, the number 49 on the number 84. Backs out of it, super late on the brakes then. Overbeek holds ground. In terms of the fight then, 4-way split, so it seems, for the last of those podium positions. Charlie Harker putting on a royal defense of things away from Marek Klopsch, Alfie Hughes and Anthony Valorio. At the front of the field, Sutton with the fastest lap is only 3/4 of a second away from the leading 46 of Herkis. Out through to the loop. There is still a great chance here in the opening half of this race before the mandatory pit stops creep in about 20 minutes time for there to be some fighting for the lead of this race. Meanwhile, we see here the fight of 5th place underway as Valorio gets a great exit out of Aintree. He's in the slipstream on Hughes, heading down the Wellington Straight. They're side by side on the run in towards Brooklands. He's going to have to commit to the leap here because he knows that Hughes could try things late on the brakes and still hold position. And so it appears that could very well be the case on the exit of Brooklands. Down to the inside at Luffield. The 41 might have to size up a switchback here. Anthony Valorio does appear to be committing to a switchback on the exit of Luffield to keep himself in the tow with the 33 of Alfie Hughes, but can't find ground. Tries he may, still tucked in behind Alfie Hughes, but great effort so far then by Anthony Valorio. Has made things very clear that he's hunting down 5th place. As for the fight up in front, Klops v Harker. 3rd place up for grabs as they make their way down towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. The 72 and the 95 look to possibly get into arms over fight of 3rd place. Behind them, much closer, is still that fight for 5th between Hughes and Valorio. Down through Beckett's into Chapel. The exit of Chapel. This is where Valorio could once again have the opportunity to seize position. Looking to try and catch on board then with that of Anthony Valorio. We do actually catch on board the defending angle of this fight on with Alfie Hughes. Down through to Stowe corner. He runs wide, so the 41's got a chance here. The 33 just keeps his foot in the floor. Wings things out there on the run in towards Vale and Club corner. 10 minutes of racing already in then here in Silverstone, and action has far from ceased. In fact, it is only getting better after the opening lap incidents. Claffey now to 9th. Tamburini, worth pointing out there, 10th place, up ahead of Tyler Croft. Looking further around the field, we see here the ongoing fight for 3rd place. Marek Klopsch versus Charlie Harker. Number 72 defending, number 95 attacking. I think this does serve as a very interesting footnote here. If this event has a sort of resounding popularity amongst the drivers, I think this is something we could very well see as a full legitimate series here on HCCL sometime later on this year, and we've been absolutely happy to be on board with a project such as this. We were actually approached directly by HCCL as they knew this is something that would be right up our street to cover, and it has not disappointed so far. 10 minutes in, and it has been electric action here from the Ginettas at Silverstone. Looking here, Jimenez versus Veldkamp. This is for 24th. Down through the loop, we see Jimenez covering off Veldkamp just before Aintree. Scrolling through to see here a 3-way split. Bell, Aguirre and Litti for 18th place. The 21, the 8 and the 1, 2, 3 all getting into arms there over control of 18th. You can still see the fight up in front between Valorio and Hughes for 5th place. This is from the point of view of Jorp Overbeek, just recently up to 7th ahead of Place. As for Copsey, things have been on a very slow track to recover for him at the moment. Now chasing down Chase B in the number 30. Down through Beckett's into Chapel. Started 2nd in this race, down 13 positions after his opening lap incident with Christian LeBay. I think we still have that on replay here, so as we watch on board with Valorio v Hughes, let's just quickly see if we can pull that back up. This was that opening lap incident, so out through Cops, contact from behind there by Copsey. You can see running out wide, we saw was the bright blue car there of Sutton, who tucked in behind at the time then, the 72 of Harker, now having since taken position for 2nd. As it stands for Sutton, he does still stand up on the chances here to challenge the 46. As a matter of fact, if we go to catch on board with the two, we see that gap is still at around 0.8 of a second as they exit Aintree. Tamburini v Croft. Tyler Croft momentarily in that top 10. We see LeBay is back into the top 10 now, so he is on a revenge drive after that opening lap incident. We see here Herkis and Sutton getting closer and closer. This is very well likely to be the case of that possible race leading fight. We did see yellow flags out, and it's down at by looks of it here at Village for the 1, 2, 3. Alessandro Litti in trouble. As it stands, Litti looks to be trying to get himself back up and running. This is down in what officially comprises in this configuration sector 3 of the track. Actually sector 2, just before sector 3. So it appears back in the green flags as he's got the car back up and running. We see here for Herkis v Sutton, half a second between the leading pair, and these two have carved away a very clear line from the rest of the field. It has been astronomical what they've been able to do with the opportunity so far. This has not been one that they've took lying down. These two are well and truly away from the rest of the field. 5.4 seconds to the nearest cars. And as we see here, it looks to be the case where a fight of fourth is erupting with Klopsch versus Hughes. Hughes up and alongside. He's on the rear quarter here, but it'll be to the outside on the run of things at Stowe Corner. He's got to go the longer way around, and by the looks of it there, he just can't seem to carry enough momentum. Actually, as I say that, it flips on its head. He's got the run for it, down through to Vale and Club. Has to commit under the brakes. A little bit of contact between the pair as they get in towards Vale. A little more contact as they hit Club. Valorio tucked in behind. These three packed in like sardines for control of fourth. Klopsch drops down to fifth, and Hughes up to fourth place. Getting closer and closer to the accolade of a podium, still held on to hand over fist at this time by Charlie Harker in the 72. Looking on for Herkis v Sutton just briefly. We see those two half a second as they make their way to Aintree. No current threat of fight back then from Klopsch over Hughes as they make their way through to Village. Now through the loop. Valorio still in tow. If he gets a good exit here out of Aintree, he's got a chance over Klopsch. And as we see it, out through Aintree, he does very well likely have this run. Down the Wellington straight. Anthony Valorio challenging up the inside here over Marek Klopsch. Can he have the chance? Klopsch late onto the brakes into Brooklands. Holds his ground as we hit Luffield. Great defense there. Stellar defense after having lost the position out to Hughes. He's not going to be fooled again in his assertion of the top five. We do see he gets a little bit overconfident on the exit of Luffield, runs out wide, and that leaves Woodcote open, and it could very well be the case that these two go side by side. Now, we saw this to be an issue earlier on for two drivers, but not this time around. 95 and 41 narrowly avoid one another past the apex at Copse Corner, and that difference in line is actually what's given the 95 the opportunity to continue to challenge down through to Maggots, Beckett and Chappell, but he backs off. So Valorio now up and ahead of Klopsch to the top five. Meanwhile, taking a look at here, closer than it's ever been, the fight of the race leads between Stephen Sutton and Ted Herkis at the front of the field here after the first quarter hour of racing at the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. I've also been notified of the... Well, someone in chat saying 88-84. We'll take a look here with your Overbeek, the 84. We see up in front the 95 still fighting with the 41, but in terms of the 88, there isn't, I don't believe, an 88 on this field. In terms of nearby fights, you're looking at the furthest up the field, that being Herkis v Sutton for first place. We also have Klopsch potentially trying to fight back Valorio for fifth place. Behind them, we have Lebay alongside Place. That's for eighth place as Lebay secures position out past the run of things at Abbey, down through to Village. It could be a chance for him to challenge. Matteo Place still hunting down Lebay. It's worth pointing out Christian Lebay started on pole position, was taken out in the opening lap in an incident between himself and Matthew Copsey. But has been quick to reassert himself to that top 10. Now 8th place ahead of Matteo Place. Richard Claffey we see behind there on the Wellington. Meanwhile, Tyler Croft and Luca Tamburini less than a second from one another. You can see behind the twin canary yellow Ginettas here. Hivrich and Copsey very close as it stands then to Tamburini in front. All three of them having a bit of trouble there down at Luffield, leaping up the inside. Actually out through Brooklands, I should say. Into Luffield, leaping up the inside. Goes the 97 of Copsey. Takes Hivrich for position. Heading out through Woodcote Corner. He's got one position. Can a second be on the menu here? We see the 813 very close at hand in front. Down towards Copse Corner. Matthew Copsey already carving through the field. Hunting down Christian Lebay, but he's got a long distance to cover. You can see in front of him there. Looks to be the possible fight at hand between, by looks of it there, that's Claffey. Actually, that's not Claffey. That is the number 12. That's Adrian Jimenez. So we see there lap traffic in front. of Tyler Croft. That leaves him vulnerable to an advance not only by Tamburini but by Copsey as well, as we see the pack start to crunch up behind the number 12 of Jimenez, heading down the hanger straight. Croft is in a very vulnerable position here. He needs to hold things very strong on the run into Stowe Corner, as late onto the brakes as he dare call it. He does not want to be challenged here by the 813 because he'll be swallowed up by the pack behind. Heading out through Stowe Corner. Copsey still challenging here over Tamburini for 12th place, heading down into Vale and Club. We see Croft run wide at Vale, holds the inside at Club. It could be a position up here for Copsey. He's up past Tamburini. It's 3 abreast on the exit of Club Corner onto the Hamilton straight. Matthew Copsey moves on through to 11th. As we see here, packed in like sardines down through as contact there between Croft and Hivrich. Down at Abbey. Tamburini in hot pursuit then of Matthew Copsey. Now recently promoted to 11th place. Tamburini on fight back on the exit through Aintree. Super, super, super close at the moment. The opening 20 minutes does not disappoint here for the Ginettas. To any event organisers out there listening in, if you didn't think the Ginettas were possible, I'd like for you to take a look at your screens and reconsider, as this could very well be the next big thing here on ACC. These cars are an absolute riot. You see there, Tamburini start to drop in behind Copsey. Copsey now confirms control of 11th place. Taking a look up through the field, we see things get extra close for the fight at the podium. Charlie Harker, Alfie Hughes and Anthony Valorio all in that current stead on the exit of Chapel. Behind them, Marek Klopsch. Also a close fight going on at the moment. Matteo Place versus that of Jorp Overbeek and Richard Claffey for 8th place on their way down the hanger straight. Taking a look in, though, for Harker v Hughes. This is for 3rd place. Up for grabs here. 33 against 72. Right behind him, the 41. Battle of the Blues here in Britain. 72 leading, 33 attacking, 41 on attack as well. Out through Club Corner, onto the Hamilton straight. Harker has done remarkably well so far to hold 3rd place away from Alfie Hughes, but it seems that in recent laps he started to falter, and that 33 has been on the rise. So far he's not cracked under the pressure. We've seen him in a few different GT4 races before. This is the first time such as many drivers we've seen them with the Ginetta. It seems to be a case where these drivers have taken to this car like a fish to water. It is quite remarkable to see how well the racing has been so far for drivers with very little experience to the medium of the Ginetta G55. Valorio challenging Hughes. 3 drivers hanging the balance there for the last of those podium positions, as in regards to that leading pair, we can see here Ted Herkus still in the lead of this race after 10 laps in, is ahead of Sutton by 1.6 seconds. Harker out through Woodcote. Hughes and Valorio in pursuits then. Down through to Copse Corner at turn 1. Now taking a look in behind here as we... Oh, hang on. I think there's been a disconnect. Yes, for Claffey. Richard Claffey has disconnected from this race, so it appears. We see here with Place has a bit of an awkward run in towards Copse Corner, runs out wide and drops distance over Jorp Overbeek in 8th place. For Matthew Copsey, this is a free position up to 10th. It's a shame there for Claffey. Things were looking rather strong for him inside of that top 10. It's all come apart due to elements outside of his control. The lights showing from the Ginettas. You see there, that's Michael Berg, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the number 66. Caught in a really awkward spot here to be lapped by elements of the top 5. Harker still holds his ground. Hughes still close by. Valorio still close by to Hughes, and Klopp's getting closer to Valorio, so we could very well find ourselves presently with 4 cars company for 1 position. Looking further around the field, Tamburini v Croft. Another fight to consider here. This is in the scope of 12th place right now. Also worth considering, Lebay is approaching rather quickly to the back end of Marek Klopsch in 6th place. We see the 1:19 is about 2 seconds and closing, meaning Lebay is about to either force Klopsch up into this fight for 3rd place, led by Harker ahead of Hughes and Valorio, or is it a case where Lebay is about to force his way himself into that 3-way fight at the moment? Either outcome, highly plausible. Only 6 minutes away then from the halfway mark of this race. That's when we'll be seeing the bulk of the pit stops creep in. We're looking at a dead-on 50-50 strategy for these drivers today. We see, looking up the inside, Alfie Hughes has got extra grip down through Luffield to go side by side with Charlie Harker down through to Woodcote Corner. Hughes has the chance here as he moves up to 3rd place, heading down towards Copse Corner onto lap 11. Alfie Hughes up to 3rd, Charlie Harker down to 4th. Down through Copse Corner, the 33 holds strong ahead of the 72, the number 41 getting close, but the 72 had a great run out of Copse Corner to keep things running down through to Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Behind them, we see Klopsch and Lebay getting closer and closer. The 6th and 7th place cars, number 41, not number 41, sorry, number 95 and number 119 catching up to the 41 of Anthony Valorio. Most recent move then inside of that top 5, Alfie Hughes to 3rd place, but Charlie Harker has a great chance to challenge on the run in towards Stowe Corner. Down the hanger straight, both of them dipping wheels there into the grass, trying to hug the furthest out to the left-hand side of the track. Now, this is a bit of a culture shock for a lot of these drivers. Not only is the Ginetta rather foreign in terms of the way it handles, the way it performs on track, it's also right-hand drive, and for a grid that is so used to left-hand drive machinery, trying to space yourself properly can be a bit of a shock. And we saw that there. I think that is why both drivers were hooking over to the left a little more than they expected. They're used to cars where they're sitting on the closest side to the left. This is now razor thin. You could barely park a car between these three. Looks like Valorio might have a chance here over Charlie Harker. We see side by side in the background there. Klopsch overtaken by Lebay. Dives in through Village. Now at the loop, holds onto that position as he moves to 6th. Valorio in his iron sights, and Valorio has the 72 in his iron sights. So this is about to be a 4-way fight for 3rd. Now led by Alfie Hughes down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands and Luffield. Nearby fight as well is Croft and Tamburini, with Croft now up and ahead of Tamburini to 12th place. They're down through Village and the loop. The 813 drops in behind the number 28. Also a close-by fight, Julian Aquati and Chase B for 16th place. But let's go to catch back on board with the current spread of things for the fight of 3rd. Diving to the pits, then goes Hughes and Harker and Lebay and Klopsch. Valorio stays out. Ducking it to the pit lane, very sudden on the brakes. Actually caught the speed limiter sign there. Could that have been a little too quick in for Hughes? Harker, Lebay and Klopsch right behind. These four almost forming a formation lap inside of the paddock. That's how close together they were to one another as they come to their pit box. Dead stop there for the 33 and the 72. We see for Lebay getting to his pit box, comes to a dead stop. The 95 follows in his wake. Valorio stays out then. Sutton and Herkis still at the lead of this race. We see undercutting by looks of things then by 3 minutes over where majority of the pit stops were expected with Hughes, Harker, Lebay and Klopsch. Job Overbeek and Matteo Place, they now move up to 4th and 5th place as it stands for now. The two separate by 0.6 of a second. Looking into some nearby fights. We do note there the number 8, Matthias Aguirre, in the number 8 car, now handed a drive-through penalty for track limits. We're seeing here with Tamburini and Croft now upgraded to a newfound fight for 8th place, I should say. We see after those pit stops as well, Alfie Hughes leaves up and ahead of Charlie Harker. Christian Lebay just on the way out now, and he actually finds himself furthest behind the rest of the field as Marek Klopsch leaves later. Well, leaves earlier, I should say, then Lebay. Lebay leaves latest of the 4. Drops down towards the back of that field. We see here, tucked in behind, Charlie Harker. This, by looks of it, is that's Perez in 24th. That's Kevin Perez, the number 48, down through the Stowe Corner. Looking here, Overbeek and Place for 4th. We'll see just quickly here. The leading pair, by the looks of it, not electing to come into the pits. We'll see for Valorio. Is that likely to be any deviation? We did see him stay out the extra lap compared to his contemporaries, and he stays out on this one as well. As for Overbeek and Place, we see them out through Luffield. Either of them yet considering a run to the pit lane, not this time. We see behind them Copsey stays out as well. Hivrich next in towards Luffield. Currently in the pits, Andrew Veldkamp. We see coming into the pits now, Alexander Hivrich. Croft stays out. Tamburini in. Bell stays out. Goodall stays out. We see here Aquati and B getting into trouble down through Luffield. Julian Aquati now up and ahead of Chase B. We'll see what either of these two plan on doing on the exit of Luffield. Neither of them yet considering options to the pit lane. Behind them, coming into service pit stop. Not his pit stop, sorry, his drive-through penalty in the pit lane is Aguirre. Comes to a stop there to come into the pits. Doesn't want to pick up a stop go 30 after everything he's been through so far. Looking back in with the found fight here for fourth over Beek and Place. .30 left to go, so coming up on the halfway mark at the moment. Ted Herkus leads ahead of Stephen Sutton. Anthony Valorio currently third. We'll see what his strategy looks like in his efforts to stay in the fight with Hughes and Harker, the previous fight for the podium. Overbeek and Place stay out. Now, this is where we could definitely expect to see way more pit stops coming in now. Copsey having recovered to 6th so far. We'll see what strategy has in store for him as he's 2.8 seconds away from this fight inside the top 5. One and a half seconds from one another as it stands then. Alfie Hughes and Charlie Harker. The 33 and the 72 who previously fought for 3rd place currently find themselves down in 13th, but bear in mind strategy will bring them back in to the podium. Speaking of the podium, we see here leading this race is Ted Herkus into the pit lane. That leaves Sutton out by his lonesome to inherit the lead for the time being as the 46 comes in. Valorio follows in his wake as well, so that's 1st and 3rd in. Overbeek stays out. Place comes in from 5th. Copsey stays out as well. We see here with Croft and Bell. Trouble there for Samuel Bell in the background. Having some trouble at Brooklands. Tyler Croft making his way, by looks of it, yes, into the pit lane. Bell stays out. Toby Goodall stays out as well. Julian Aquati previously in that fight with Chase B. Bear in mind, Gino Latore getting closer to Chase B at this time. We'll see what Aquati's plans are. Out through Luffield. Stays out by looks of things here. Chase B, they dive to the pit lane following in their midst there. Gino Latore in the number 47. Ted Herkus is on his way out, so he's not going to be taken for position here by Alfie Hughes. We see Anthony Valorio is on his way out, but it looks to be on the contrary as Hughes makes his way out through Woodcote. Harker in pursuit as well. Currently held up there by looks of it. That was by Michael Berg in the 66 car. Down through to Cop's Corner as Valorio just drops off the limiter line. He's going to drop in behind these two and still in the scope of things for a possible top 5 fight. We see Harker. And then we see just in the background, I believe emerging there was, yes, we see Valorio just tucked up ahead of Marek Klopsch. Michael Berg accidentally in the way there. Not much he can do. It's a really awkward spot for him to get caught up by oncoming cars. Not easy to deal with in his position, so fair play to him. You go to war with what you have, so on and so forth. LeBay still with the fastest lap. As it stands then, is going to advance a few positions in his continued fight against Valorio, Harker and Hughes. Herkus looking to return to a provisional lead under strategy. Sutton still out on track at the moment, and as I say that, here comes Stephen Sutton into the pit lane in the number 7. Jorp Overbeek and Matthew Copsey on what remains of the podium right now. Now, this will change under strategy, of course. We'll see what their plans are now as they make their way through Luffield. Number 84 up and ahead of the 97. See the 97 there. Moving to the pit lane, and we see very wide sweep in by Overbeek. The 84 comes barreling in. Oh, it's contact with the wall, and it's definitely going to be too fast for him. So that's more than absolutely going to be a penalty coming up for Overbeek, as that was as far as entries to the pit lane go, quite brisk. And, oh, I think Copsey forgot which box he's stopping in there. Tried stopping ahead of Overbeek. Realised, oh, wait, this isn't my stop. Goes up 2 more boxes there just after the gantry. Now comes to a stop. Sutton in the pit lane as well. Bell stays out. Samuel Bell leads then here in Silverstone before strategy plays its hand. You see then Hercus moving up to what looks to be the scope of things. At not, oh, hang on just a minute here, not the lead of this race. Stephen Sutton has served an absolute blinder in the pit lane. This was timed to perfection as he now, by looks of things here, leads in Silverstone under strategy. Bear in mind, still out the front of this field is going to be Samuel Bell, but this is a huge, huge shift between the pair. We see it's actually quite surprisingly the case that Copsey also had a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane, and rather unsurprisingly there, we also see the same for the 84. We see Hercus and Sutton side by side at Stowe Corner. Now, bear in mind, this plays quite heavy consequence because these two are going to lead the race once Samuel Bell comes into the pits. 25 minutes left to go, and this has been a sudden change of pace that I'm not sure we were all expecting to see, but it has been a brilliant pit stop strategy by Stephen Sutton. Has held his nerve very nicely, and for his efforts finds himself up the road from Ted Hercus. But now the objective therein which remains that he's got to try and defend away from the 46, hunting him down through Abbey. Super, super close there, millimeters between the pair as they make their way through farm into village, and it's going to be Hercus to look up the inside here on Sutton. Sutton going the long way around to try and have the inside at the loop. Bear in mind that the 46 can hook out to the right and just go much more aggressively on the line at the loop to stay side by side. It is a bit of contact between Sutton and Hercus out through Aintree. Forced out wide there, the number 7 still has the line. He's got the momentum to stay up and alongside, and he's now ahead of Hercus once again. This is brilliant stuff here in Silverstone. Taking a look as Samuel Bell comes in, this will be for the race lead. Looking in behind, still close action between 3 drivers here. Valorio, Klopsch and LeBay currently contending for what is about to become 5th place. But the real focal point of the last 5 minutes has been the emergence of Sutton into the lead, and it's official now as Sutton leads this race. 23, just shy of 24 minutes before we get to the checkered flag. Stephen Sutton stands upon the chances then to run home with this victory here in Silverstone in the Ginetta Cup Special by HCCL. Number 97 has 2 more laps to serve that stop go. As for Overbeek, he's not wasting any time. He's into the pits, but don't leave it too late. Very late onto the brakes there. 0.3 of a second. Hercus looking up the inside, so let's go to catch on board with Ted Hercus in the fight of the race lead here with Stephen Sutton in front. Out through Club Corner, he's got the run on the Hamilton straight, running parallel to the wing. Heading in towards Abbey, he could be looking for it, but backs out. But he actually compromises on his own line there for that gamble. Through farm, into village. You can see he's using every available inch of the track to his disposal. So too, though, is Sutton. Sutton's got wise to Hercus's tricks here in Sector 3. As it stands then, 0.3 of a second as they head down the Wellington straight. These two still at the forefront of action. Harker in 3rd, Hughes 4th, Valorio 5th, LeBay in 6th, Klopp 7th, Copsey in 8th for the stop go, Place 9th, Hivrich in 10th. Among some of the closest fights we have, it's LeBay versus Valorio for 5th place, and it's Hercus v Sutton for the race lead. Out through Chapel. Great exit by Herkus. Stuck in on the slipstream, though, of Stephen Sutton. Slowly reeling him in, but it won't be by enough to have a chance out at the start of Stowe. So he'll be eyeing things up for the exit of Stowe Corner. Possibly looking for the inside. He does anchor it in for the inside. Now he's going to have to try and commit to it, but squeezed away just before Vale. Now through Club Corner, the 46 and the 7 in arms for position. Meanwhile, yellow flags out for the number 69, I believe. That's just come back into the pits. Trouble down at Luffield. In the meantime, number 97 now having served their stop-go. That was for Copsey. "20 minutes left to go then here in Silverstone. Taking a look with some of the nearby fights as well. Valorio and Labay appears to have come to a head there, with Labay now ahead of Valorio to 5th place. Next in his iron sights will be the 33 of Alfie Hughes for 4th. And if he can do it, I mean, 20 minutes against the line here. If Labay can pull this back to a podium, that is seriously impressive given how things played out at the start of this race. To give you a recap on that one, taking a look back, this was the race start between Labay and Copsey. We see there that moment of contact led to this opening lap incident that took both of the leading cars out of commission in the opening lap. That's what gave rise to Herkus's early doors lead. As we see here, it could be back up to 4th on the inside at Woodcote Corner. Will be to the inside at Cops. Labay against Hughes. Hughes is going to have to try something very ambitious here to stay along with the 119 as we make our way to Cops Corner, trying for a switchback over past the apex to try and have that better line over the 119. Just can't find it. Down through into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. It's Labay to 4th with the fastest lap. Made light work then on his way through the top 5. Up and ahead of Valorio, now ahead of Hughes to 4th. Meanwhile, up in front here, Herkus going around the outside on Sutton, down at Stowe Corner. So he's got it into the lead, up and ahead of Sutton, down towards Vale and Club. Sutton looking for the inside, backs out of it, down at Vale, now through Club Corner. What are the chances of counter-attack off of the number 7? We see then Ted Herkus back into the lead in the 46. That great move around the outside. We caught the trailing end of it down at Stowe Corner, but he's had a bit of a wobble down through Village and the Loop, and that's what's given the gap back over to Sutton on the exit of Aintree as we head on to the Wellington Straight. Just under 18 minutes left to go here in Silverstone. And the number 7 has now been gifted a new chance here to fight back to the race lead. You can see he's anchored his way to the inside. He's trying to put pressure onto the 46, trying to force him to play defensively. Ted Herkus, no fool. He's not going to be tricked by that one. Oldest trick in the book, out through Luffield. Looking in with the rest of that top 10 at the moment, we see Klopsch and Valorio now 7th and 6th. Tucked in behind Hughes. This is now for what is the fight of 5th place on the field, with Labay storming his way through to a possible podium at the moment. 17 minutes left to go. You can see he's now backing on to the rear bumper of Charlie Harker, the 72, who has fiercely defended that 3rd place spot throughout this race. Has fought valiantly so far, but this could be the greatest challenge he comes up against on this grid. With the 119, you can see having closed the gap down so quickly. Taking a look in with that top 2 again. They're fine for the time being, so on board with Labay. This is for the fight of 3rd place between himself and Charlie Harker, out through Chapel. Behind, very close action between Valorio and Hughes, but looking up in front, Equally close action here for third place. Harker having to hold centre mass of the road. LeBay has got the run of things down towards Stowe. He's on the inside on the 72. But we've seen here at Stowe Corner, if you can keep your foot in the throttle, there is a chance to hold the momentum necessary for a counter-attack down at Vale Club. And does Harker commit? Not this time. Meanwhile, up in front, the number 7 is glued to the number 46. Let's go to catch on board here. Hercus v Sutton, as they head down through to Village. And quickly getting a gander in also with this fight. Hughes v Valorio. Those two separate as it stands by 4/10 of a second. And we see here from Marek Klopsch's point of view, only half a second out from Valorio. That makes Three's company in their fight. Sutton now 0.7 of a second out as we make our way down the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands. In the aftermath then of the fight for third, Harker now half a second out on LeBay. LeBay to the podium. We see we're with Marek Klopsch right up to the back end at the moment of Anthony Valorio, who in turn is fighting with Alfie Hughes for 5th. A three-way split for the last of the top 5 spots. We also have, just worth noting here, very close fighting for the number 30, Chase B versus Tom Barlow for 16th. Down the hangar straight towards Stowe Corner. Barlow to the inside, B to the outside. But who holds ground as we see there? A great switchback. My word. Get a look at that on the replay. That takes some serious commitment there. Watch this one by Chase B. This is unbelievable. Watch this. Oh, it's just it's too close. It's too close. I think there was a tiny little rub there past the apex. My goodness. Behave. Meanwhile, seeing here, number 41, number 95, and number 33. Never mind the desync there. That'll sort itself out. We see with Valorio versus Hughes and Klopsch for 5th place. Three-way split between the 3. Quickly dipping in to see what's going on over the front. We see Hercus is starting to form a significant lead now over Sutton, with just under a quarter of an hour left to go and 14 seconds over LeBay. It looks like they're still in a 2-horse race for the checkered flag. You see here, Hivrich up at around the 66. Number 123 as a drive-through. Alessandro Litti in trouble after Luffield. Sutton now a second out. Looking back in with Hughes, Valorio and Klopsch. This is for 5th place. 33 and 41 closest to each other in this triad on the exit of the loop. We see Klopsch looking up the inside here on Valorio. Has a bit of a wide run of things through Luffield. Could style things out here with more momentum to carry in towards Woodcote. But with Klopsch already up the inside, this is going to be an area of compromise for Valorio. What can he hope to do to hold off Marek Klopsch from 6th place? Well, by nature of it, just keep the foot in. Drive-through penalty for Charlie Harker just recently come through there. So now this is for Hughes, Klopsch and Valorio. This is going to be the case that these 3 will shift up an extra position. This will be the fight of 4th place under negotiation. Meanwhile, looking up front, we see that Sutton has been able to draw it back in now. The gap between himself and Ted Hercus at the lead of this race. We see here with a 3-way split for 5th place. Alfie Hughes has done a brilliant job in defense for throughout this race at the moment to keep near enough everyone at bay, by a very, very select few. We see here for Valorio, he is sizing his chances at the inside. Was trying to force defensive play there out of the 33, but couldn't find any dice. So it down through Vale and Club Corner onto the Hamilton straight we go. These three have kept it just so razor thin. We see here, looking on with the trailing car. This is with Marek Klopsch. Looking up the inside then on Valorio, down through Village. Valorio left the gap open. Klopsch obliged up to 6th place then. Goes the 95. Now on the exit of the loop, solidifies that position. So that was quite a great game of patience there for the 95. Saw the opportunity present itself and he went for it. Nice clean move then, down through Village. For the 95, next target in sight then, Alfie Hughes. And this could very well be now for 4th place, of course, with Harker currently, by looks of it, coming into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty. Yes, that appears to be the case of the 72 out of picture now. This is going to move up to the fight of 4th place in a moment. Valorio still not distant enough to be not considered in this fight. This is still a three-way split for what is now 4th on the field. Yellow flags out for, I believe, looking there was trouble for the, I want to try and say that is the 66. Yeah, Michael Berg down at Village in the loop, back in the green flag conditions, and quite well timed as well. As we see here, Alfie Hughes had a bit of struggle through Beckett, so now in the Exeter Chapel is vulnerable to the slipstream train. Klopsch looking up the inside. Down towards Stowe Corner. Number 1, 2, 3 had the yellow flags come out for a moment's time there out through Club. That was for Alessandro Litti. We see here for Marek Klopsch up towards 4th, up and ahead of Alfie Hughes. Right behind him, Anthony Valorio. As we see there, Hughes leaps for the inside. We couldn't actually catch it from the onboard cameras. The 33 committed to ascend up the inside. Now around the outside at Club Corner. It's contact between the 95 and the 33 as he rejoins in front of the 41 and in front of the 95 by that metric. The 95 displeased. He pumps the brakes. Now falling in behind the 41 of Valorio. We see for the 41 looking up the inside on the 33, but the 33 super late onto the brakes at Village. 9 minutes left to go here in Silverstone. The 95 not distant from this fight just yet. That's the fight of 5th we're seeing. Marek Klopsch looking up the inside, down through towards Brooklands, over Anthony Valorio in 5th place. Number 1, 2, 3 into the pits for that drive through. Alessandro Litti down in 23rd. And the exit there of Chapel. 0.2 of a second between Hughes and Valorio. Chances getting closer and closer for a move up the inside at Stowe Corner. Backs out a bit of grass there for Alfie Hughes. So here comes the number 41. Through goes Valorio at Stowe Corner, heading down towards Vale and Club. That tiny moment of a touch on the grass there for Alfie Hughes was all it took for the 41 to move up to 4th. Out through Vale into Club Corner from behind as well. We see Klopsch looking to come through as well as Hughes drops not 1 but 2 positions over the span of 3 corners. But it's not over yet. Hughes still looking for imminent counter-attack. The 33 eyes the inside out through Abbey. Now to Farm. Heading into Village. We'll be looking up the inside here on the 95. He's left the gap open. It's super close between Hughes and Klopsch. Klopsch muscled out of position there, but he's got the inside at the loop. It's contact between the pair, corner to corner on the exit of the loop. He will not be pleased as he returns to 6th. A brilliant move there. Well timed by Valorio, up to 4th place. LeBay 15 seconds in front of him. Slowly but surely gaining distance. Up to the 7 and the 46 at the lead of this race. Speaking of, here's Sutton and Herkus at the front of the field. 1.5 seconds from one another with 6 minutes left to go. Taking a look at the field so far then. Ted Herkus in the lead. Stephen Sutton in second. Christian LeBay in third. We just saw recently there Anthony Valorio to 4th place. Alfie Hughes to 5th. Marek Klopsch reluctantly to 6th, but it looks like counter-attack on the way on the exit of Copse Corner. We'll stay on with these two as we look at the rest of the field. Charlie Harker 7th. Matteo Place in 8th place. Alexander Hivrich 9th. Luca Tamburini rounds out the top 10. Samuel Bell in 11th. Tyler Croft in 12th. Toby Goodall 13th. We see very close behind him as it stands there is Matthew Copsey. As we go back on board, Klopsby Hughes for 5th place. Gino Lertore in 15th. Chase B 16th. Tom Barlow 17th. Matthias Aguirre in 18th. Andrew Velkamp 19th. Kevin Perez in 20th. Klopsch looks up the inside here on the fight of 5th place. Hughes looking at a switchback. We saw this before with Barlow VB. He's to the outside on the run in towards Vale and Club. The 95 trying to stay assertive. It's contact between the 33 and the 95 as we hit Vale. Now through Club. The 33 muscles the 95 off track at Club Corner. Rejoining then. More aggressive line on the exit. Side by side on the Hamilton straight. Klopsch up and ahead. I spy with my little eye. There's going to be an aggressive move coming down towards the loop then. Or Village more relevantly here. By Hughes. He's not going to be pleased with how that's unfolded. And just as predicted, peer into the crystal ball and weep. The 33 up the inside. Further down the line then, Velkamp 19th, Perez 20th, Jimenez 21st, Overbeek 22nd, Litti 23rd, Berg 24th. Down 2 cars from the race start. Started 26 cars. And now down to 24. Looking up the inside. Klopsch against Hughes. These two properly jostling for position now. This is some white-knuckle touring cars level camaraderie between the 95 and the 33 on the exit of Luffield. Now through to Woodcote. 4 minutes left to go here in Silverstone. I'm getting sort of, I think it was 1992 British touring car around here at Silverstone. It was, off the top of my head, was Tim Harvey, Steve Soper, and John Cleland at Silverstone that got into arms over position. Very similar to what we've seen in recent laps here between Valorio, Klopsch and Hughes. Really, anything that can remind me of the British Touring Car Championship ought to be taken as a win in its own respect there. These Ginettas have been absolutely revolutionary on this grid. This could very well be the next big thing. I'm spying this now in recent trends we've seen with stuff over the course of the last couple of months here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. The Ginettas are a bit of an untapped resource. They've been used sparingly across a few different leagues, this being the most recent example, but a full-scale series, I think, is absolutely something that could come up here in 2026. So we see side-by-side, nearly there, between Hivrich and Place. Hivrich still glued in behind in the fight for 8th place. Up in front of them there, lapped traffic, I believe, looking at it there. It's not Jimenez, it's Perez in 20th. Hooks over to the right-hand side of the Hamilton straight to give space over to Place and Hivrich, down towards Abbey. Looking back in here with Klopsch and Hughes. The gap now growing ever larger, 1.3 seconds between the 95 and the 33 as that looks to put a lid on this fight with 2 minutes left to go. We're coming up not far from now into the last couple of laps here in Silverstone. Looking with those lap times in and around the ballpark here, we're looking with Herkus of around a 2:11. We crossed the line not that very long ago. I think we very well could be on for our last lap of racing here from Ted Herkus, and we didn't even realize it. Croft v Copsey. This is 12th place up for grabs down through Village. Meanwhile, yellow flags out for the 84 and the 66. That's Job Overbeek and I believe Michael Berg, if I'm not mistaken. Down at Chapel Corner, yes, we see here with Overbeek having emerged from it. Michael Berg, the 66, that was also in trouble at the time. It was down at Beckett's and Chapel over the course of this lap just gone. Looking at it here. Copsey versus Croft. Copsey looking at the inside, out through the exit of Luffield. Now to Woodcote will be to the inside, and it looks to be a smooth overtake in progress here. He's going to have to make things stick on the run down towards Copse Corner with Croft on his tail. In through Copse. Through goes Copsey then, 13th. Sorry, 12th place as it fails to update on time, but yes, 12th as it stands. Looking on board then with the race lead. 26 seconds left to go in this race. And don't begin celebrations too early because it didn't actually tell us that he was on the final lap. We'll come to see, though, if that's the case as we stay on board here with Ted Herkus. Number 46 took the baton and ran with it. The opportunity presented itself bare after this opening lap. But as we see it, as the timer ticks down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the race is over, heading down towards the line. At the final stop of things, the checkered flag couldn't come soon enough. Ted Herkus wins the Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. Brilliant, brilliant action from the 46. Took the baton and absolutely ran with it. Very, very well done then. Ted Herkus, your winner of the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. What a brilliant, brilliant one-off we've had here at the home of British Motor Racing. Stephen Sutton in second place at the end of this race. Christian LeBay, a triumphant return to the podium after everything that kicked off at the start of this race. That's an easy driver of the day material there for him to have fought things back. Anthony Valorio to 4th place, Klopsch to 5th, Hughes to 6th. Harker, by looks of things here, finishes 7th place. Commendments over his defense over the course of the entire race here. I mean, he has really put on a solid challenge. So fair play to him. To the line, Place and Hivrich, 8th and 9th by 0.4 of a second. Tamburini to the top 10. This is a great hustle here. A silent procession to the top 10 by the 813. The Argentine talent sees the checkered flag here. Fantastic hustle for a top 10 finish in Silverstone. Samuel Bell coming to the line, number 21, 11th in this race, ahead of Matthew Copsey in the number 97, lamenting on what could have been here in this one-off round. He's given it a great go, but today's just not been his day. Tyler Croft to the line for 13th, Toby Goodall 14th, Gino Latorre looking at 15th, Chase B 16th, Tom Barlow in 17th. We see definitive finishes there for Matthias Aguirre 18th and Andrew Velkamp 19th, Kevin Perez in 20th. We're about to see his teammate Adrian Jimenez to the line for 21st. Definitive finish for Alessandro Litti, 22nd. Michael Berg, 23rd. So just seeing those come in now. Latorre, 15th. B, 16th. Barlow, 17th. Jimenez, 21st. So Barlow, the last to the line, but your definitive winner then, Ted Herkus, the number 46, up and ahead of Stephen Sutton. Christian LeBay makes the podium with the fastest lap here in this one-off special event. Brilliant, brilliant stuff today. We're going to try and get a word out of Herkus if we can locate him at this time. If not, then we'll have to catch on with him another time. But let's see if we can go and locate him. We'll be back to you in just a moment's time, hopefully with an interview available there from Ted Herkus, your race winner today in the one-off special here in the Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special by HCCL. So we've got in the interview box at the moment then Ted Herkus, your race winner for the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. Ted, how are you feeling?
Pretty good. It was a really tough race, but I'm glad I came home for the win.
It looked like you handled the pressure really, really well out there after that opening lap incident. You took the baton and ran with it. It was an impeccable drive. And you did have some great challenge along the way there by Sutton. How did you feel managing that?
Well, because of the cold tires after the pits, he got the jump on me, but yeah, it was really tough to get around him. But really, really awesome battle. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, congratulations on the race win today then. You're the winner officially here at the HCCL Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special, one-off special event. And do enjoy that. That's been a fantastic result for you today. And it's been some brilliant, brilliant racing throughout with you leading the charge. Very well done.
Thank you.
Take care. And so that was Ted Herkus, your race winner here in the Silverstone Ginetta Cup Special. That's all from us here today. I really do hope to see the Ginettas once again. I think this does serve as a great base plate for anyone looking at the possibility of a Ginetta-led championship, whether it's the folks here at HCCL or anyone else listening in. Do pick this up. This has been one of the greatest races we've seen here at Silverstone. Keep an ear to the ground on this trend. This could absolutely be the next big thing on Assetto Corsa Competizione. For those of you joining us later on today, we've got the final round of the NLRL Console Endurance Series coming up. The last round of the championship, the 6 hours of Indianapolis, coming up at 6 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time here in the UK. That'll be later on today. Then coming up tomorrow, we get on for round 6 of the championship on the NLRL Sunday League Season 5. That's all from us here on TRTN. A brilliant, brilliant race. Very well done then to the race winner today, Ted Herkus. Very well done to Stephen Sutton and Christian LeBay, the podium sitters. And a very well done to every driver to have made it to the checkered flag in what has been a very experimental genre of car, but nonetheless has provided us some of the greatest racing we've seen on recent record here at Silverstone. That's all from us. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Good night.